Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjeet Kaur, Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. So it's my privilege that I am here with you this day to talk on internal rate of return technique of capital budgeting. So friends, in the past we have talked about net present value method, which is the first and the primary method used in capital budgeting and is also known as traditional as a contemporary technique of capital budgeting. So you must be able to recall that we have certain techniques which are known as traditional techniques, and there are certain techniques which are known as modern technique or discounted techniques or contemporary techniques of capital budgeting. In this regard, we first talked about the traditional techniques and then thereafter we started with the discounted techniques or modern techniques. So we discussed about net present value, and today we are going to take up the second technique, which is discounted technique, and a very important technique known as internal rate of return technique. So friends, what is internal rate of return? So the primary purpose of capital budgeting, as we all know by this time, is to evaluate investment in long term projects. So we want to see the profitability of a project, we want to see how much return it will give to us as a business, or what are the expected cash flow, is this viable to accept that project or not, right? Be it investing in a machinery, be it investing in a building, be it investing in a particular line of production, whatever. So it could be any such investment which is going to give us benefits for more than 1 year. So that is a capital investment. So this method also helps us, the internal rate of return method also helps us to evaluate capital budgeting proposals. So what is internal rate of return? So this internal rate of return is also known as marginal efficiency of capital, yield on investment, marginal productivity of capital, rate of return, time adjusted rate of return, and many more such names. These are the most commonly used names, right? So this is the rate, IRR is a rate of return that a project earns. So it means this rate of return which we are going to learn how to calculate is specific to a project. So for example, if I am investing in a color sorting machine of 3 crores, so this return which I will calculate for this particular color sorting machine is specific to that machine only. For some other machine, some for other project in the same company, the IRR could be different, right? So this IRR which we are going to learn how to calculate and use it is specific to a project only. It means that project earns that return. So we define it as a discount rate which is known as a small r, which equates the aggregate present value of net cash inflows with the aggregate present value of cash outflows of a project. So whatever we earn and whatever we spend, so whatever we earn from that project or expected to earn from that project is cash inflows, and that cash inflows are happening in future, right? Because today you are taking a call, you are deciding whether to invest or not. You have not invested yet, right? So you are taking a call on that. So your expected returns are happening in future. So because they are happening in future, we take the net present value of that return, means we discount them. We discount them with the help of a discount factor, and we take present value of those cash inflows, and then we compare it, we equate it with the cash outflow which is expected for this project, right? So where these cash inflows, which are discounted ones or present value of cash inflows, and the present value of cash outflows is equal to each other, that is the point, that is the rate which is known as internal rate of return. It means, in other words, the IRR will give us NPV at 0. because NPV is something which we have already discussed in the past. So, the net present value of a project would be 0 at this rate, and that rate is IRR, because we are equating cash inflows and cash outflows, discounted ones of course. That is what, so if they are where the rate where they are equal with each other, that is the rate known as IRR. Otherwise, net present value is the difference between the two, right? We subtract cash in outflows from the cash inflows, and the difference is known as net present value. Since we are equating both of them, it means my NPV would be 0. So, this is how we take the formula. This is in front of you. So, 0 is equal to net present value is equal to present value of cash flows after tax minus present value of cash inflows. Very simple. I have used very simple language so that or the symbol, so that you could comprehend it well. So, this is the formula of net present value. Now, coming to that, how do we calculate IRR in different situations? So, to calculate IRR, let me explain you that we have two possible scenarios with regard to cash inflows. One is that I am getting the same amount of inflow or cash inflow every year, right. So, every year same amount and for a known period, because the project's life is known. So, that becomes annuity. For example, I am earning 10 lakhs per year, I am earning 20 lakhs per year, 2 crores per year, or so the amount is known, it is equal every year, and it is known that how many years that project will give me those cash flows, right. So, that becomes annuity. So, the calculation of IRR is different for annuity and for the cash flows which are uneven. So, let us say in the first example, we assume that we are getting 2 lakhs, 2 crores every year. But in the second example, when uneven cash flows means, maybe I am not sure, I will get first year maybe 2 lakhs, second year 1,80,000, third year maybe 3 lakhs, and so on. So, my cash flows are not in the form of annuity, rather they are uneven. To deal with that situation, the steps which we follow are different than the steps which we follow to calculate IRR under annuity condition. So, first of all, we will learn how to calculate IRR under a situation when cash flows are happening or are coming in the form of an annuity. So, let me explain you with those steps which we follow. The first step which we follow here is calculate payback period of proposed investment. The second step is refer to entry table and find out two discount factors, one which is higher and another which is lower than the PB, the payback period for given N. So, let me explain these two steps and then we will move to further steps. So, first step is what? We need to calculate payback period. We have discussed the payback period in traditional methods of capital budgeting in the past, and I am sure if you have had a look at that lecture, you would have learnt it. Otherwise, the payback period is very simple, that how much time does an investment or will an investment take to recover the initial investment. Let us say I have spent 1 lakh as an initial investment, every year I am getting 20,000, it means I will take 5 years to recover my investment, that is the PB, payback period. So, then after calculating this PB, we need to refer to entry table. So, that is table number 3 in most of the books. So, from that we need to find out two factors, two discount factors, one which is higher and another which is lower than the PB period for the given N. So, N is known to us, the project's life, N is the project's life, 5 year, 4 year, 10 year, whatever. So, we will look at the N in the rows, because N's are given in the rows, and at the top we have in the columns we have discount factors. So, we will look at the N in, for example, 5 years, and we will just keep on moving in between the columns, and we will see, we will stop where my discount factor in a column is close to PB, and then we have to see one factor of discount is lower, another is little higher, of course in decimals, than my PB calculated at the step 1. So, this would be the step 2 to identify 2 discount factors from the entry table. The third step is to refer to the top of the table, note down the corresponding R's, because 2 discount factors, one is lower, another is higher than the PB. So, we will just move our fingers upward, because the tables are given in the form of columns and rows. So, we will just move upward, and at the top, the first row of the table is all about the rates, R's are given, right. So, we will note down those rate of interest from the table, that is the next third step. After we have noted down, then there are 3 more steps. Then, so once we have 2 discount rates, discount factors and 2 discount rates are. So, then we have to decide which of the rate we will like to use for interpolation, because the last step is we need to interpolate. To interpolate, or we have to have 2 values of R, one which is higher for higher discount factor, and the second which is for the lower discount factor. Now, the question comes in, which one would you like to use, higher or lower? So, here you have a flexibility, you can choose either the higher discount rate or the lower one, because the formula would change the plus or minus sign. I will just show you the formula in a while, and then the last step is to interpolate. So, what is the formula for interpolation? So, now you just have a look. IRR is calculated by interpolating 2 discount factors and 2 rates. So, if you notice, IRR is equal to, so there are 2 methods to use to interpolate first of all. So, the first, it up to you which one you would like to use, because they both will give you the same result. In the first one, if you notice, it is R plus / minus. So, you can either use the lower rate of return, the lower R, or the higher one. So, because we have actually calculated or found 2 values, right, 2 R's in the previous step. So, if let us say if I found 14% and 15%. So, 14% is the lower one, 15% is the higher one. So, if I am intending to use 14%, I will put plus sign. If I intend to use 15%, I will put minus sign in the formula, and this is how you will get the same answer, right. So, the formula goes like this: R plus or minus sign, bracket starts, PB, the payback period, minus discount factor. Now, which discount factor would this be? The discount factor for the corresponding R, right. If you chose 14% as an R, the corresponding discount factor would be this, which you will take here in the discount factor. If you chose 15%, then the discount factor would be the one corresponding to 15%, and the whole is divided by the difference of the 2 discount factors, discount factor for the R which is lower and discount factor for the R which is higher, right. So, this is the formula of first one. The second formula is very much similar, R plus minus sign, either plus or minus sign to be used, and then present value of cash outflows minus present value of cash flows, inflows, right, after tax export, and the total is divided by the difference of present values of small and lower r. So, delta p, and then whole is multiplied by delta r. So, the difference between 2 r's. So, what does it mean? So, present value of cash outflow would be same, right, and then present value of cash flows which is inflows would be different. If you take the small r, the present value would be different. If you take the higher r, the present value of cash flows would be different, right, and this whole is divided by the difference of the present value for different 2 r's, and the delta r means the difference between the 2 rates. So, if you have 14 and 50%, it would be 1. If you have 14 and 16% as lower and higher rate, delta r would be 2, and so on. So, this is the formula for IRR. So, just to explain you that PB is payback period in the formula, discount factor for R is for the discount factor for interest rate R, discount factor small r for L is discount factor for lower interest rate, discount factor R for H means discount factor for the higher interest rate, and R is either of the two you chose as I explained, right. This is the interpolation where we are using the first formula. In the second formula I already explained you that present value of cash outflow is PVCO. The present value of cash flows after tax is present value of cash inflows, and discount factor for R into, so this is the either of the two interest rates used in the formula, and discount factor for R is the difference in interest rates, and the last one is delta PV is the difference in calculated present value of inflows. So, I hope I was able to help you understand the steps. There were total 6 steps which are used to calculate internal rate of return in the situation when we have cash inflows in the form of an annuity. So, now I would like to take a small caselet to help you practically learn how to calculate internal rate of return of a project under a situation when cash flows are in the form of an annuity, right. So, let us take this example or the caselet. The project cost we are assuming is 36,000, annual cash inflows are 11,200. So, annual means annuity, right. So, it says annual cash inflow and then N is 5 years. So, how will we calculate? So, first step, if you remember the steps I just discussed, the first step is we need to calculate the PB, payback period. So, how would we calculate? So, 36,000 divided by 11,200. How come? So, the question was, the caselet was 36,000 is the initial investment, right. And how did I get the 11,200? The formula of PB, the payback period is initial investment divided by annual cash inflows. So, it is very much given to us that present value of cash inflows after tax which we earn every year is 11,200. So, since we earn it every year, so we will divide, so we will take it as an annuity, of course, we will divide the initial investment by 11,200 and we will get the PB which is coming out as 3.2142, right. So, 3 points, so we are taking 4 decimals. It is recommended to take the PB or discount factors in 3 or 4, minimum 3 to 4 decimals, because otherwise your answer would vary strongly. So, that was the first step, that calculate PB. The second step was to find out 2 discount factors from the table of table number 3, table of an annuity. So, how to do that? We need to go to table number 3 if you are listening to me at this moment, or otherwise if you watch this lecture later on, you should actually open the book on financial management right away and check what I am saying, right. So, I am saying go to table number 3 which is actually discount factor of an annuity, because we have primarily 4 tables given in most of the books. First table is for discount factor of 1 rupee or $1. Second is first is the compound value, right. The table of the compound value, compounding table for 1 rupee. The second table is compounding of a of an annuity. The third table is discount factor for 1 rupee or $1, and the fourth table is discount factor for or the present value of a annuity. So, here we will use first of all we will use the table number 4. So, these 4 tables are there in most of the. So, read the title of the table, because order could be little different in any of the book, but most of the books would present like that: compound for 1 rupee, compounding of annuity, discount of 1 rupee and discounting of annuity. So, we are using discounting of an annuity. So, by referring to the table which would be table 4 here, we will see the discount factor which is close to our PB which we calculated in step number 1, which was 3.2142. So, if you refer to the table of annuity for discounting, so you will find 3.2743 is close, right, to close to what? Close to PB, which is 3.2142, and because we need to have two discount factors. The second discount factor which is close to, which is nearby to this, is 3.199, and their corresponding, the next step is to note down their corresponding returns, rate of returns, which is at the top of the table, the first row, right. So, which is 16 and 17% as you can see in the slide. So, the step 1 we calculated PB, step 2 we found two discount factors from the table, and the next step was to find out R or note down the R from the table. The corresponding R are 16 and 17%. So, thus if you look at the slide carefully, 3.2743 is higher than PB, right, which is 3.214, and 3.199 is lower than PB, right. So, the difference is in decimals, as I said, it is not even one value full. So, and the corresponding rates are 16 and 17%. Now, the last step is to interpolate. So, I am using the first formula in the interpolation. So, I have used both 17 as well as 16% to help you understand that both will give you, both if you use lower R or higher R, the both will give you the same answer. So, the 70, if we are using the higher one, here 17 is higher, right, 17% is higher one and 16% is lower one. So, if we use 17, which is higher one, then the sign which will be used would be negative, minus, and if we use the lower one, which is the 16%, right, then we will use plus sign. That is a major difference, and the corresponding discount factor would be used in the formula, right. So, 17 minus, in the first while we are using the higher R. So, we will use minus 17 minus PB. PB is 3.214. So, PB minus the corresponding discount factor for 17%, which is 3.199, and the whole is divided by the difference between two discount factors, which is 3.274 and minus 3.199. So, difference of these two, the delta P is delta discount factor, right, is divided. So, by the difference is the denominator here. So, if you solve this equation, you will get 16.8%. So, that is the rate where our internal, this is known as internal rate of return. It is the rate where my cash flows after tax would be equal to my cash flow which outflows, which are we spending. It means my total return of 11,200 would equate, the total cash flows would equate with my outflow 36,000 at this rate. It means the project must earn to 16.8% to qualify, to consider it or to consider it for acceptance. So, it means this is the rate which is minimum required, and we will compare this rate with my cost of capital. Let us say my funds which I am using as a company is, I am paying 18%, I am paying 17%, then I will reject it. If I am paying only 11% and this project is going to give me 16.8%, then I will accept it. So, the last step is to compare it between the cost of capital and the actual internal rate. So, logically higher the rate, better, higher we earn is better for us. And the same way that at 16% we have used the same formula, the answer is coming 16.8%. The only difference is the discount factor here is difference. So, instead of 3.199 we have used the corresponding discount factor for 16, which is 3.2743. The rest of the formula remains same, and the signs plus and minus sign changes, right. So, with this we would like to wind up now, friends, and as I said, the acceptance rule would be to compare this 16.8% with the overall cost of capital or with the cost of capital which we will be spending for this project or to fund this project. and the higher your return, of course you would like to accept that, and otherwise reject that. So with this I would like to wind up, friends. Thank you very much.